Head over to the brand new FriendoShop.com and get your latest Friendo merchandise. While you're there, use code FriendoFriday to get 20% off. And don't forget to pick up Don't Interrupt the Game t-shirt right now. FriendoShop.com. Hey, Friendo, Steve here.
Hey, Larson.
And welcome back to Going In Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to right here at youtube.com/Stephen Larson. Available wherever podcasts can be found, of course, taped live at the Twitch and at the YouTube. Twitch.tv/Stephen Larson, also youtube.com/Steve and Larson. If you're listening to this in the audio realm, do us a favor. If you like the show, leave us a rating, a review, or a comment. It really goes a long way towards helping Going In Raw grow in the audio space. I don't know why I did that. On today's episode. Space. Oh, thank you. Thanks, man. I appreciate the assist there.
You got it, buddy.
On today's episode, of course, we're going to talk about last night's Monday Night Raw, which featured another big, and I mean that literally, WWE return. One of the many, many releases from 2021's back, baby. Also, we had our first intergender match in quite a while, and more happened. The Bloodline was there. All sorts of stuff happened on Raw last night, so we're going to talk about that. But first, let's talk about this, man. Mandy Rose, millionaire. What's going on with this, Larson?
Maybe. So, of course, a week ago, news broke that, about a week ago, that Mandy Rose had been released by WWE after NXT officials discovered that the former NXT Women's Champ was posting content on her fan time that they deemed too risque.
Boo. Prudes.
Yeah. Today, Mandy's agent, Malky Kawa, told TMZ that Mandy's fan time has brought in $500,000. $500,000. $500,000 since her release.
Wow.
And then her agent also predicted that Rose will be a millionaire.
Wow.
That's one followed by 6 zeros.
Wow.
Yes, that's correct. By Christmas, thanks to her fan time content.
That is awesome for her.
That is awesome.
That's great. You know, with all the money that WWE brings in, what's stopping them from just completely jacking up the salaries of all their talent? Like, you know,
they totally should.
You want to make WWE the premier location? Be like outspend the billionaire Tony Khan. I don't think he'd. I don't think he'd try to match that shit. You think he'd try to match that? I
mean, if they dedicated as much of their revenue towards payroll as the major sport leagues did, I don't think there's a way that Tony Khan would be able to match it.
Yeah, man.
If WWE dedicated even 40%, of their revenue, net revenue to salary, or whatever metric you want to use. I don't know exactly if it's net revenue or gross revenue for sports leagues, but whatever it is, WWE did the same or even close to it.
Yeah,
these wrestlers would be making a ton of money.
Yeah, no, that's awesome for her, man. You know,
it is awesome for her.
So yeah, and I'm sure that probably the good people at Fan Time allowing these people to grow their brands and make a lot of money are probably excited about this too, because they probably get a cut of all that. So yeah, that's cool. Still remains to be seen, I guess, whether or not she'll try to continue to have a platform outside of Fan Time in terms of within the world of wrestling, be it in Impact Television. I mean, the bottom line is whatever she does now, given that what we know about pay in wrestling, whatever she does now is going to be for the platform, not for the revenue, because clearly she's outpacing the revenue in that respect. And I don't think anybody would be able to afford it if they tried to keep up with what her fan time is.
Yeah, exactly. If she's made $500,000 in 5 or 6 days, that's 3 times what we had seen her annual salary was.
In
the span of a week.
Well, yeah, no, in the span of a week, yeah, exactly.
She's made 3 times what she was making for WWE, reportedly.
Yeah, right. Even before this, like I saw numbers, I don't even know what they were. It was like 100. What was it, like 100, 150 a week or 300,000 a week or something like that? It was nuts. It was like a lot. But yeah, no, good for her. We'll see if we see her on our TVs, be it on Axis, TNT, probably not at this point, NBC Universal, given what went down. But yeah, no, interesting. Good for her. That's awesome. Go make that bet. Man, that's one point I wanted to make as well is, it's unfortunate that the way things went down, the way they went down. But, man, if you got a better deal somewhere else, you use whatever platform you have, or even at your job. You should always be looking for more leverage to get you more money, because nobody's just going to give it to you. I mean, sometimes they have like mandatory pay raises, but generally speaking, you got to get your own, man.
Exactly. You do. You do. Yeah, so good for her. Good for her.
Absolutely. Let's talk about Monday Night Raw.
Yeah.
What was your general thoughts on I felt like they were trying last night. I thought that they had sort of their foot as much to the gas as they could. They had the Bloodline, they had a return, they had an intergender match. They're trying to spark conversation. What do you think of Raw last night?
I think more than anything, two things stood out. The show was really well paced. I didn't feel like any excessively long talky bits.
Yeah.
And even the longer ones had a point.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
You had the overarching story throughout the whole show of the Bloodline invading Raw.
Right.
And that was pretty solid. And I felt like pretty much every match, it felt like the competitors in each match, it meant something to them if they won.
Yeah, right.
And was it high stakes? Not necessarily. But there were stakes involved, not titles, but from a storyline perspective.
Mm-hmm.
For everybody involved in these matches.
Mm-hmm.
And nothing felt necessarily thrown together for the sake of having a match that I can recall off the top of my head. Everything felt motivated, and it felt like, all right, there's a reason this match for happening. There's a reason for each party in this match to want to win.
Yeah, yeah. And there was a reason for... I like when there's reasons for everything. It's like when... what was it? When... the OC got involved with what was it, like the main event or something?
Yeah. Because the
they had been attacked earlier.
Yeah.
Stuff you just want stuff to make sense. They even tried to talk a little bit about Alexa. She referenced her time with Bray Wyatt, and she went through how she felt she was treated and what her trauma was like, and what therapy did, or in her case did not do for her. I thought that it was all, it's all stuff that they're giving it some effort. And I think they looked at that rating last week and might have got freaked out and was like, hey, we got to start loading up these Raws a little bit. We don't want these, 1.4 million viewer episodes. I know,
but it's funny that you say that, because next week's going to be a clip show. But that might give an opportunity.
Strong with the year, I guess, huh?
I guess so. But they're really loading up that first Raw of 2023. They got the U.S. title match between Seth and Theory. They got the women's title bout between Bianca and Alexa, both on that show. So they might be kind of making that a wild card final, if you will.
Yeah.
Like a special edition, since there's not another pay-per-view till
wild
the Rumble.
Card finals.
So yeah, that could be the case, that they're looking at the ratings and especially while they're running opposite Monday Night Football.
Yeah.
Really try to put out some meaningful shows to get those numbers up. I'm sure it'll go back up to a pretty decent number, or roughly where it was, 1.7, 1.8 after football season concludes.
They were doing pretty darn well when before the football season, like in between Vince leaving and the football season. So hopefully, if they keep on loading this stuff up, it'll be good. So this is kind of interesting right here while we're talking about ratings and stuff like that. I noticed this Brandon Thurston, who's an excellent follow on Twitter, while Twitter's still a thing, retweeted this today from John Alba, who's also a friend of the show.
Yeah.
And he had tweeted out what John Orand had written about his predictions for the new year. John Orand is a media reporter, a sports business journal, co-hosts Marchand and Urin Sports Media Podcast. He's got like 80,000 followers. Seems like the guy knows what he's talking about. And he said his prediction is WWE goes all in with NBC Universal. The WWE's TV deals expire at the end of 2024, but will start to negotiate new deals in April, right around when WrestleMania is in LA. By the end of the year, the group will have a deal in place with NBCU that keeps Raw, NXT on USA, and moves SmackDown from Fox to one of NBC's channels. The real significance of this deal comes in 2 years when the two negotiate their Peacock deal. He says the deals for Raw and SmackDown will lay the groundwork for NBCU to buy the WWE outright. So he thinks that's going to start coming into play this coming TV negotiations.
Well, I mean, if WWE is going to be interested in moving SmackDown off Fox, I would assume that would have to mean that SmackDown is not going back to USA Network. Because if they're leaving a broadcast network to go to a cable network, that seems like they're going backwards.
Good Lord, could you imagine if they put SmackDown on like NBC?
That's what I'm saying.
That'd be nuts.
That would be nuts.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. That'd be interesting. I mean, obviously it's doing pretty darn well in the ratings over there on Fox. I mean, it's the top-rated WWE programming, and I think it does pretty well for Fox on Friday nights.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind seeing it leave Friday nights.
Yeah, no, I mean, it really should be on Thursday.
Up
like
yeah, I know.
8.
That'd be great. I don't know. Let's see what else we have.
Let's talk about Bronson Reed coming back. Jonah Rock was one of the wrestlers released in 2021. Even though it seemed like he was on the verge of getting called up to main, he had a couple of main event matches. And usually that's not necessarily a precursor 100% of the time of an imminent call-up. But as we've heard since then, it's one of those things where it's part of the evaluation process where they put an NXT wrestler in front of a main roster crowd to see what kind of connection they have with said crowd. For whatever reason, rather than bringing Bronson up, they let him go.
Well, back then, do you think that I think that's probably the case now. You've laid out some good points about what you think main event's role is these days. But then it's just all about seeing like if Vince sees it.
I'm sure that's part of it. Yeah, that's probably his evaluation process for a particular wrestler, because I doubt a lot of these wrestlers in NXT he's terribly familiar with.
Right, yeah. I just get the feeling that they put him on main event because he's not going to bother watching NXT, and he wants to see what they look like on main roster television, and if the crowd is going crazy, it's not going to matter unless Vince is really going crazy for you either. We heard so many people, have main event matches, and then a lot of them were in those releases back in 2021. So yeah, this goes back a little ways. Fightful Select had a good write-up on Bronson's return, how, they had heard for months now that WWE was interested in him. He hadn't worked a match for New Japan because he'd been doing some New Japan stuff, primarily with Strong for quite a while. I think in the span of months.
I thought that's what I read, that he was tweeting like, "Hey, I want this match at Wrestle Kingdom," to kind of throw things off a bit. But yeah, Fightful said that bringing him back was a priority for Triple H, and I mean, if you're familiar with his work, you can see why. After he was released, he did some awesome stuff with Impact. He had a couple awesome matches with PCO and Impact.
He did. Yeah, he did.
He did some good work in New Japan. He beat Okada in the G1, I believe. And, hopefully he's coming back to WWE to a massive paycheck.
Wreck fools.
And, At first thought, I wasn't that keen on the idea of pairing him with The Miz, because that's kind of what they, more behind the scenes and in front of the camera, in kayfabe at least, did with Loomis.
Yeah, right.
But then I watched the digital exclusive they did with Miz and Bronson Reed, and Miz is trying to be like, "Oh, hey, this is my new good friend." Again, someone else I brought back to WWE, and then Bronson comes up and they shake hands, and Bronson kind of does the Superman 2 thing where he's squeezing Miz's hand.
Yeah.
And then he just says, "Where's my money?" And Miz hands him one stack of hundreds. Yeah. And then Bronson grabs another one out of those 2 bags of money that Miz won during his match. And that was that. So if it's a situation where he's coming in to kind of be Miz's heavy, but strictly from a business perspective, he's doing it. I guess that's a little better than just, "Hey, here's my new friend, Bronson Reed."
No, I agree. It all being story driven. Bronson Reed understanding that Miz has money, even if Maurice controls it, he was able to get a bag. And business is open. He had hired somebody before, stiffed him. As long as he makes sure that he doesn't get stiffed, he knows he can make some money off Miz. So I think, from a simple storyline perspective, I like it as opposed to just, oh, here he is in front of us and he beats up a jobber or something.
Yeah. So
So
FTW Assassin brings up Ciampa too. Of course, when Ciampa got brought up to main, it was Miz who brought him up. So Miz is like the gateway from NXT to main roster. At least
instead
on Raw,
of having a feud with Dolph Ziggler, you get to pal around with Miz, apparently.
I guess so.
Or just be involved with them somehow, because you look at all 3 guys now, Loomis, Gargano, and Bronson, they're all WWE returns.
Yeah, to be, to some degree, Miz's
Ciampa,
henchman, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of prefer it this way, to be honest with you. I do hope that this, and I don't know if this is going to, I don't know if Miz and Bronson are done with. I mean, the digital exclusive kind of illustrates that maybe they're not done with each other, and Bronson's going to continue to be as heavy. But I don't know. And I don't know. Do you think that this means Gargano and Loomis are done with Miz, or
no? Because
now
Loomis
Bronson
had the match
Reed
won until Reed interfered. This ain't over. That's the downside of this, is that this Loomis, Gargano, Miz, now Bronson Reed thing is gonna keep going.
Yeah. So I mean, that's not ideal. I want to see Johnny wrestling. Wrestle. That'd be nice.
Wrestle. Yes.
John.
Wrestle.
Yeah.
John.
And then did we talk about this? The Rhea Ripley intergender match. This really blew up. It really blew up the internet, man. I thought it was kind of cool. I thought it established Rhea. I don't think this is going to, we talked about this a little bit on the pre-show. I don't think this is sort of, a foreshadowing of more of this stuff to come, because as we know, both WWE and AEW are kind of like not into the intergender thing. I thought this was just used to illustrate, that Rhea Ripley, number one, is having just a killer year. Her, sort of rebrand or whatever you want to call it, has just captivated the audience. She is absolutely fantastic. And I thought it was just supposed to be sort of a shock moment where that illustrates Rhea Ripley will throw down with anybody. Doesn't matter who you are.
And we've already kind of seen that when she body slammed Luke Gallows on the floor a while back. She will, as you mentioned, throw down with anybody.
Yeah.
It was Tozawa that threw the contents of the Solo Cup in Dom's face. Dom was misted last week. He's still selling that.
Oh, this was great, because this is going to be, and here's the thing. I don't think they're going to run this into the ground the way Vince would have. Oh, that's so funny. But I did appreciate that he shows up with sunglasses and he takes them off, and then he gets alcohol or some drink in the face. Yeah. And he's blinded again. I thought that was great. Apparently at house shows he was wearing sunglasses too.
Yeah.
So you gotta love that stuff. But yeah, I don't know, man. I think that the Rhea stuff is fantastic. I know we got a question recently. I don't know if it was here or Wrestle Juice, but somebody said, would it be possible, do you think, that Rhea could be the next China, where she just enters the men's division? And I don't think it's possible, because I don't think WWE would want to go that far again. But I think it'd be pretty awesome if they did. I really do, because I think, again, this is something we talked about in the pre-show. I think the optics might not be what, Mattel or NBC Universal or Fox wants. But given the goofy nature sometimes of what professional wrestling can look like, we all know what a worked punch. Here's a good example. We all know that when Brock Lesnar punched Braun Strowman in the face, that looked real because it was. But 9 times out of 10, when they throw these worked punches, even the best worked punch in the business, like an Athena worked punch, it looks great. But, the recoil, it looks like a fight movie. It looks like a John Wick type thing. And that's it's a bit goofier than what it looks like in real life. We know what it looks like in real life. We all, have World Star loaded up on our phones, I guess. We know what real fights look like, especially when they're in Del Tacos, because there's a lot of Del Taco fights apparently that happen.
Seemingly, yeah. No, it was a move to help build up Rhea for whatever they have planned for her next year. I thought the setup for it was great. The execution of the match was fantastic. Yeah, I thought it was pretty awesome. Let's talk about the Bloodline invading Monday Night Raw. So Paul Heyman introduced the show with Roman. Roman was especially calling out Kevin Owens for leaving his home of Monday Night Raw and going to his home. And his thesis was, you know what? Everybody's going to acknowledge the Bloodline at some point. And so it seemed like Roman had charged the Usos, Solo, and Sami with punishing the rest of the Raw roster for what Kevin Owens had done.
Yeah, right.
And in the end, it came back to bite them because they were just going around laying out everybody. And then during the course of their attacks, they laid out the OC. Yeah. They came out at the end of the show to help even the odds so that Seth and Kevin Owens can get the win in the main event over the Usos. So I don't know if this is going to be a story thread they're going to pursue going forward, where Roman is going to punish Raw for the actions of Kevin Owens in an effort to turn the rest of the roster against Kevin Owens.
Mm-hmm.
Or if this is just a one-time deal, don't know. But it's an interesting story beat, even if just for a night.
Sami was nowhere to be found until the very end of the main event, until like after the finish, he came out and had a little face-to-face with Kevin Owens, and then he left with the Usos. Yeah, I don't know. The Usos look kind of like clowns losing to Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins. So I don't know. This is going to be one piece. Do you think he's going to be a major piece in the puzzle of Roman and Sami, or is this, hey, this is just some retaliation? Roman's not going to think twice about, the Usos having taken the loss. They did take the loss, right? I'm right.
Yeah, they did.
That, right?
They lost. They lost. Yeah, they did. I think more the thing that Roman will probably comment on, whether it's on SmackDown or next time he's on TV, is the fact that Sami slid in the ring, and even though Kevin Owens turned, and saw him try to attack him from behind, that Sami didn't do anything. Yeah. It's like, you didn't get a chance to sneak attack him, but it was the two of you one-on-one. Why didn't you do anything?
Yeah, you could have shown us something here.
This is your opportunity to take him out of the picture, so we don't have a Kevin Owens problem anymore.
Yeah. And then, of course, we had a pretty decent little sit-down interview with Alexa Bliss and Bianca Belair. I like this because it didn't take up too much time. It was fairly efficient, and we got a pretty powerful performance there from both Alexa and Bianca. But Alexa really opening up about her issues with Bray Wyatt and how that affected her. And then when it seems like all is well, as they're leaving, she nails Bianca in the head with a glass or a vase or something.
A vase or something.
It was a vase, okay. And lays her out. So we got, a firm turn here from Alexa. She can't really claim, I didn't know what I was doing.
Well, then right before she did that, the Bray logo flashed on the monitor behind her. Yeah.
Oh, here we go. White Brownie has the Raw ratings. Well, it's up from last week. 1.7 million, 0.43 against Monday Night Football.
That's they got to be happy with that.
They should be. Absolutely. Yeah, they stacked it. There was just a lot of good wrestling last night, too. Like, we got AJ Styles versus Sami Zayn, and that was a killer match.
Yeah. All the matches were good.
Stellar match. Yeah, that was good stuff. Anyways, like you said, Raw opened up with Paul Heyman saying, "Welcome to Monday Night Raw. My name is Paul Heyman. I serve as special counsel, blah, 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 to Roman Reigns." And then the camera pans in. You see Roman sitting there, and he says, "Monday Night Raw, the home of Kevin Owens, the home that Kevin Owens continues to leave and continually tries to crash the gates of the Island of Relevancy." He says, but he's not by himself. He went out and got John Cena. He says, you're going to need a lot more than that. You're going to need the entire Raw locker room. You need them all to have your back because you interfered a little too much in my business. So it's time for us to show our resources and the juice we have. Oh, man, they've got the juice coming into Raw, Larson. He says, we're not going anywhere. We're going to torture you. Make your life hell until you understand. And everybody in that locker room and everybody in the audience acknowledges the Bloodline. And then that cuts to the Bloodline, and they're beating a bunch of people up on Raw.
Yeah. First is Mustafa Ali. Solo hits them with the Samoan spike. They're all happy about that. And then Sami says, we got more work to be done, and off they go. And then we get our first match of the evening. Street Profits taking on Finn and Damian Priest of Judgment Day. During that match, we cut backstage, and Andre Chase, who was on main event, apparently, because they mentioned that, is getting beat up by the Bloodline. And then the Usos take guitar and bash it over Elias. Then we cut back to the match. The Street Profits get the win here.
Yeah.
Because, as mentioned earlier, ringside, Tozawa comes to the ring with Street Profits. He's got the Solo Cup. He throws the contents of it into Dom's face. This distracts Finn Balor. Ford rolls up Finn to get the win, and then afterwards, Rhea gets in the ring and on the ramp, and punches him and says, "All right, we're gonna have a match right now."
Yeah, she's like, "Come on, let's do this. Let's do this. Accept." So of course he's all confused, but the Street Profits are pumping up to get in the ring.
Yes,
I just want to point this out really quick. I can't get enough of Finn Balor's character work. yeah. Whoa! All the flexing and all the yelling. Oh God, dang it, man! It makes me laugh so much. It's so much. It's just like a cartoonish version of the Bullet Club Finn Balor.
Yeah,
it's hilarious, man. It is so much fun.
It is a lot of fun. It's pretty great. So then after commercial, we get Tozawa versus Rhea Ripley. A lot of fun. Rhea gets the win. She goes for a riptide. Tozawa avoids that. But eventually, Tozawa goes for his senton off the top. I don't know how he does that, man. He gets such height, especially when he misses.
And then just nothing.
And then just
nothing.
Bump on the back.
Yeah, I love the bit. I like they even address sort of the elephant in the room with Rhea Ripley just saying, "Come on, punch me. You get a free shot." And I was like, "I don't want to do. I can't punch a lady. I'm not supposed to do that." She's like, "No, come on, do it." Goading him into doing it. So I like that they directly address it. That's the central issue here.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So Rhea hits the riptide to get the win, and then we go backstage, and Adam Pearce is on the phone, leaving a voicemail for Paul.
Mm-hmm.
He's not happy.
Not happy. So then Kathy Kelly steps in, asks Pearce about what's going on with Lashley. And Pearce says, well, what happened is between Bobby and I, we had a meeting. It's not a matter of if, but when Lashley will come back. Then MVP steps in, and, he wants to have a conversation with Pearce about Bobby Lashley. We're getting their business back together, baby.
That's great news.
Her business with the Moss. We've been talking about this for such a long time. Yeah.
That'd be great. Because both Shelton and Cedric were laid out last night too.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyways, Pearce says, "All right, we could talk," but before that conversation could happen, a ref comes and tells Pearce, "Something's happening. You gotta come take a look at this." And
Pearce had a bad night. Yeah.
Yeah, he did. So that's when we're backstage, and Cedric, Dolph, and Shelton have all been laid out by the Bloodline. And then he tells the ref, "Go bring me the Bloodline."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's having a bad night.
Oh, yeah.
After that, we had the Good Brothers versus the Alpha Academy. Chris Garrick's notes here says that the Academy make their way down as Otis throws a Christmas wreath down the ramp. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they had the stage, a bunch of Christmas trees and presents and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was good.
It was good. Good Brothers get the win here after Gable misses a moonsault. Gallows hits him with a boot. Magic Killer. Good Brothers get the W. Then the Bloodline attack the OC afterwards. Sami sends AJ out of the ring. The Usos hit a 1D on Anderson and then Gallows afterwards. And then Security and Pearce come out and they're like, "You got to get out of here."
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to get him to get out of here. But we go to commercial. We come back. Bloodline's still in the ring.
Yeah, and Jay has a mic. And he starts talking. He says, "The Bloodline's in your city." He says, "Check this out, Pierce. Open your ears." And because the crowd obviously is huge in the Bloodline.
Yeah.
They're mainly chanting Sami Uso.
Yeah.
He says, "When it comes to the Bloodline, this family in the middle of the ring, we run this business." And Sami interjects. He's like, "What's your problem?" He says, "These people here have no problem with it. These people love to hear Sami Uso, the usologist, the honorary Us. And I don't appreciate you rushing my dogs." He said, "We came with a message and we'll deliver it. Understand, what you see tonight is a small example of what will happen to Cena and Owens December 30th when they face Sami Zayn and Roman Reigns." He says, and then, Pearce is like, they're starting to send out people to them. And he said, "Nah, you know what? We're done anyways. We out." And Jay says, "Everybody in the locker room, they the twos, we the ones." And then they walk up the ramp with security. AJ flies out of nowhere and attacks Sami. They pull him apart, go to the back, and backstage, AJ screams at Pearce and says, "I want any of the Bloodline." He talks about Sami, and Pearce says, "Okay, fine. I'll make it official. Sami versus AJ. You get that match tonight."
Mm-hmm. Then we got the Alexa and Bianca sit-down interview. Byron is hosting. And first, Byron says, "Congratulations on the win last week, but can you explain what happened afterward?" And Alexa said, "I've been asking it too, because right now..." Oh, sorry. Bianca says, "And I've been asking that same question too, because right now I don't trust you." So Alexa says, "I can't explain what's going on now, but I can say what's gotten me to this point. Bray abducted me, turned me into a dark, evil version of myself, and just left me. Left me broken with abandonment issues, took everything from me, and left me alone. Everyone said I was the crazy one, so I went to therapy, and all it did was turn me into a shell of a human I don't recognize. Our friendship made me realize I am stronger, and if I have nothing to lose and I have everything to gain, including the women's championship. So Bianca responds, I hear you. I sympathize with everything that you've been through, but you can't tell me that you can't explain it. I know what Bray is capable of. And then Alexa fires back. She says, I know what you're doing, but this is about me, not him. He's not a threat to you. I am. Don't forget, I've won titles before you walked into the door, and I can do it again. And then Bianca says, well, do it then. And that's when the Bray logo flashes behind Bliss. She grabs a vase, smashes it over Bianca's head, and then they announce that the title match is going to happen on January 2nd.
Yeah, like you said, it's going to be a loaded episode because next week is a clip show.
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, programming note, I know we already told a bunch of people in the pre-show, no, on Tuesday of next week, no going in Raw scheduled. Instead, on Monday, we're actually going to have, because we're taking Monday off, but we are going to have an episode of Count Out.
Yep.
The wrestlers who had the worst 2022. Nothing on Tuesday.
Nope. And then Wednesday we'll have
AW. Thursday we've got news and NXT.
And
Friday we're doing a special SmackDown watch along and podcast.
Yep. And then Saturday, I believe we're having our predictions for next year.
We're doing our predictions for the year. That's always our favorite thing to do.
And the Friendo Award nominations will be up this weekend.
Yeah, correct. Yes, exactly. After that, this match was actually really entertaining. I'll be honest with you. The Miz versus Dexter Loomis in a ladder match with all the money up there. Yeah, I thought, they did everything in this match. The crowd was, at one point, Miz, he was just getting a bunch of shit out from under the ring, and the crowd starts chanting for tables, because that's what the crowd always does. Mm-hmm. And he starts to drag a table out, and then he's like, nope, and he puts it back.
Yeah.
Well, later on, Dexter Loomis starts getting that chant from the crowd. They want tables, and he obliges. He puts Miz, he gets up on a ladder, he climbs up a ladder, and he drops a leg drop, I believe, onto Miz through the table. But no, this is kind of a wild match here. There was a part where he was under a ladder and Miz just kept on throwing chair after chair after chair after chair on him.
Well, Miz actually avoided the leg drop off the ladder from.
Yeah, he got out of the way. You're right.
From Loomis, yeah. So before that happened, though, Miz takes out Gargano when he's throwing a bunch of stuff because he pins Loomis between the two sides of the ladder, starts throwing a bunch of stuff, and he gets one of the office chairs in the timekeeper area and throws it towards Loomis, and then kind of rolls it towards Gargano, and that leads to him taking Gargano out of the equation. So Miz, avoids the leg drop off the ladder, gets back in the ring. He starts climbing up to grab the money. Loomis gets back in the ring, fights Miz off, pushes him off the ladder. He's about to get the money, and then that's when Bronson Reed appears. He pulls Loomis off the ladder, hits him with the tsunami off the top, and then Reed sets up the ladder and pretty much yanks Miz rung by rung up the ladder.
Mm-hmm.
So Miz can get the money, and then Miz just has like the most ridiculous smile on his face.
Yeah.
After winning, he's really hamming it up here. So I at least give him credit for that.
Dude. I mean, it's been a really long feud, but it hasn't been one that I've been like, God damn, I want to turn this off. There's been segments that have been too long, and I've been wondering, why are they still doing this? But everybody is very entertaining in it. So, I do wish they'd wrap it up, and maybe they're just going to add another wrinkle into it with Bronson Reed.
Yeah. Yeah, no, this is definitely one of those stories that, as a story in full, maybe has overstayed its welcome a bit too long, but the individual segments not necessarily.
Right, yeah.
Absolutely. Like The Miz understands that this juncture, his role is to be kind of ridiculous, and so that's what he does. He's just over the top and ridiculous. And when he's standing at the top of the ladder doing this, happy he won, it's kind of funny.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. Yeah. Backstage, Seth is holding his Iowa's own shirt. Now, you mentioned just the other day that you feel Seth Rollins has never had decent merch. What was your opinion on this shirt?
The streak continues.
Moving on, he puts that shirt on an intern's head and starts singing the song, and the guy starts singing, sort of dancing along with it while the shirt's on his head. Yeah, it was pretty ridiculous stuff. After that, we had AJ Styles versus Sami Uso, and this man, goddamn, it's like Sami Zayn. It's so easy to forget sometimes that he's just a world-class professional wrestler.
Yeah.
And then you get to see AJ Styles, who's probably like the world-class professional wrestler.
Yeah.
And there was Sami, and they were doing some really cool stuff.
We saw a brainbuster from Sami Zayn, but not on the top turnbuckle, unfortunately.
He does such a good brainbuster, though.
Yeah, he really does.
He flips it right at the last second. Oh, it's beautiful. Yeah.
You should see what he does in the top turnbuckle, though. So to the finish of this one, see Solo making his way through the crowd towards the ring. Sami goes for a roll-up on AJ, gets a 2, hits a jawbreaker, and then Solo climbs over the barricade. AJ goes after him. And then Sami follows. So AJ sends Sami into the ring steps and then into the announce table. But I think he puts him back in the ring. And while the ref's checking on Sami, Solo hits him with the spike. And then Sami gets the win, not with a Helluva Kick, but a Blue Thunder Bomb.
I know. That was kind of cool. I mean, it took a Samoan spike to get him there. But no, I don't know the last time we saw him win with a Blue Thunder Bomb.
I don't know if we've ever seen him win with a Blue Thunder Bomb at WWE.
It's a possibility. Yeah, that was good stuff. After the match, Pierce meets him at ringside, yells at the Bloodline to get out of there. We see Seth making his way through backstage. As he gets to the ring, we got a Seth Rollins promo. So Seth comes out. Of course, they're all chanting his name. He says, "Ooh, the Bloodline's in the house. They've been jumping everybody except for me. Not saying they're scared, but I have a message for the Usi boys to deliver to Roman. Roman, Mondays don't belong to you. They belong to the visionary, the revolutionary, Seth Rollins." And then A-Town down. Yeah, that fool comes out. So he gets on the mic. Crowd starts booing really heavily. And Seth, just because they're all chanting, "You suck." Seth says, "So we're clear that he sucks, right?" Theory says, "Seth, nothing belongs to you." He says, "You were the one that said this," he got the U.S. title, "was the title of Raw. So putting that into perspective, that can only mean one thing. The champ is here."
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah. He says, "Deep down, whether you like it or not, the Austin Theory era is forever. And this is just the beginning. And whether you like it or not, you're going to pass the torch to me. And if you don't, I'm going to take it from your cold, legendary fingers."
So then Seth responds, "Well, Merry Christmas to you too, kid."
Ooh, didn't like that.
Says, "I did keep your cool, and we don't want you ending up like Lashley." And Theory says, "Funny thing is, the only reason you're here is because Lashley takes his anger out on WWE officials and not you. And like your entire career, you've just been lucky." So Seth laughs. He says, "Kid, you don't understand. Why are you so angry? You're everything you say you are." He says, "Look, you do suck, but you've grown up too. You aren't Mr. Selfie anymore, or you're not Daddy's little boy. You're the U.S. champion. The problem is, as much as that title means, there's one thing that means more, which you'll never have as long as I am here, and that is you will never be me. You are not on my level." And then Theory says, "Seth, I see right through you. I mean, how many times have they given you the ball and you fumbled it? Like the Chicago Bears. The thing about you is, Seth, you've been in the mountaintop, but that's just the peak, and I'm coming for Everest. Maybe when you fall off, you'll come to the realization that you're the third most successful member of the Shield."
I love this next part here by Rollins, too. He says, "I've been to the mountaintop, huh?" He says, "You got it wrong, kid. I am the damn mountaintop. I am Everest." He says, "They say the man makes a title. Let's find out what kind of man and champion you are right here, right now. Take your shot." Seth rips off his jacket. Then the Usos start showing up. They're at the barricade. Seth says, "Hold on a second. We'll talk later." And it looks like for a second they're going to team up because they both, Seth has his jacket off. Austin Theory starts taking off his jacket. And it looks like they're waiting for the Usos to jump, and they're going to take him on 2-on-2. And then fucking Theory gets out of there.
Yeah, he puts his jacket back on, just slides out the ring.
Yeah, he slides out of here. Seth's like, "Oh, man." So the Usos attack Seth. Well, he sort of attacks them first, but of course, the numbers game is just too much. Kevin Owens' music hits. He storms down, sends Jimmy into the barricade. Seth is up firing shots and knocks Jay out of the ring. Pierce runs down with security, and Seth starts talking to Owens, saying, "You think what I'm thinking?" And Owens laughs and says, "Yeah, I think Des Moines wants us to kick their asses. How about we do it? Me and Rollins against the two of you tonight." And Pierce is like, "All right, you guys want this?" And they're like, "Yeah, we want it." He says, "All right, it's official. We'll do it." This is interesting. Straw Hat Jose here in Twitch says Sami won against AJ last time with the Blue Thunder Bomb as well.
So I guess AJ is a fan of the Blue Thunder Bomb.
I guess so, yeah. Yep.
Interesting. Then we get a Becky Lynch promo. She says, "Bayley, you've been playing cat and mouse since I came back. You send your lackeys, they beat me up. I beat them up. Repeat. That ends tonight. You and I are a lot alike. We were underappreciated, but rose up and changed the game and have careers we are proud of. We did some not so proud stuff as well, but the difference is I did it alone. I did it by myself. What bothered me the most was when you took me out for 4 months. You couldn't do it by yourself. So tonight, what's it going to be? Is it going to be 1-on-1 or 1-on-3? It doesn't matter. Win or lose, I'll die by my own sword. You can't say the same thing.
Yeah. This is a fantastic match. This is good.
It was
stuff.
really good. It was basically like a pay-per-view quality match.
It was. No, absolutely. So the finish, though, did see Bayley get the win after a bunch of damage control distractions and interruptions and stuff like that. Bayley got a rose plant after. So Becky Lynch punched Dakota Kai when she got up on the apron, stomps on her in the ring a little bit. The ref gets distracted trying to keep damage control away from ringside.
Because he had kicked them out of ringside right before that, yeah.
Right, exactly. So that allows Bayley to get her to hit Becky on the back of the head with one of those little monitors. And then right after that, she hits Rose Plant to get the win. So this was a much needed win for Bayley. Yes. Because like damage control has just been looking kind of like clowns. I know they're tag champions, but yeah, this just escalating the feud even further. I'm assuming we're gonna get a Rumble match between the two of them, or maybe they'll do it on the January 2nd show. I don't know.
That could be if they're really trying to load that show up. That's entirely possible. That is entirely possible. Yeah.
After that, we see Seth taping up. I like this stuff. They're showing Seth and Owens. Because, obviously they have a ton of history. Seth is like, hey, we're back at it. It's been a long time since we teamed up. He says, why are you still hot at me, though? And Kevin Owens like, well, you tried to steal my WrestleMania spot. I was going to do something with Stone Cold. It's clear as day. I remember you wearing a bright suit and everything. They argue a little bit back and forth, and Seth joking, saying, me wearing a bright suit? Never. And Seth laughs, and Kevin Owens says, no, I'm 98% sure. And Seth's like, oh, so it's like 2% chance you're not sure.
2% botch there.
Yeah. He says, so anyways, they talk about kicking the Bloodline's ass, and Seth laughs, and Kevin Owens mumbles, oh, I see. You still got that weird laugh, huh? Okay.
Yeah. And then we had our main event, which was the Usos versus Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens. Another match that gave a lot of time and could have very well been a pay-per-view match. So down towards the finish. Owens tags in, heads up top as Jay super kicks Seth on the outside. So Owens hits a frog splash on Jimmy for a 2. He looks for a swanton. Jimmy gets his knees up. By the time Owens gets back to his feet, Solo is making his way over the barricade. But the OC come to the ringside area and take him out as Jay flies over the top rope with a dive to take out everybody on the floor. But then Rollins follows with a tope onto Solo and Jay. And then he sends Solo into the post. Hits Jay with a stomp on the floor. So Jimmy sets Kevin Owens on the top rope looking for a superplex. Owens eventually fights him off. And as that's happening, Theory shows up behind the barricade, hits Rollins with the U.S. title, takes him out of the match. So then Jimmy hits Kevin Owens with a super kick for a 2. Jimmy goes to the top rope looking for a splash. Owens evades that. He's looking for a stunner. Jimmy escapes that. But then Owens hits a super kick, looks for a pop-up powerbomb, misses the first attempt, hits it on the second, and then gets the win with Jimmy with the second pop-up powerbomb attempt. And so Owens and Rollins gets the win. We had, 10 people ringside by the time this match was over. Maybe more.
Yeah. This harkens back to that Attitude Era, man. Like people will just be coming down, running down all the time back
there. Was like 20 people ringside when when Mankind beat The Rock for the title.
Oh, it was like the entire roster. It was like the entire main event scene, and then some.
Yeah.
Were down there, and Vince and Shane. That was a wild situation. I watched it every once in a while. It pops up on Twitter. I watch it every single time.
Yeah,
because those pops were absolutely nuts back then. So after the match, Kevin Owens looks to see what happened to Seth, and then gets on the turnbuckle and taunts a little bit. Sami slides in behind as Kevin Owens catches him trying to attack from behind, and they just have a stare off. Sami smiles as Kevin Owens takes off his wrist tape. Sami gets out of the ring just as quickly as he got in and stands with the Bloodline at ringside to send us off the air. Quick favor here to ask of our good friendos watching live on the YouTube. Do us a huge favor. Hit that like button. And if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you click join, you can become a YouTube channel member. We have bonus content every single week. This Thursday, we've got an episode of Overrun. We're going to talk about what you guys want to see from Going In Raw coming up in 2023. You guys got a bunch of great ideas. It's always good to sort of get a read on the friendos and what they'd like to see. Can't promise everything, but I think we've got some decent ideas for how to accommodate some of the requests. And we'll have a long chat about that and answer some of your questions and do some numbers. Whose numbers don't lie this week?
We never decided. There's no poll up.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll just take that off this week.
Yeah, we'll do a performance review. I'm sure there's enough to talk about.
Oh, absolutely. But yeah, usually we do numbers don't lie during that as well. If you're watching on the Twitch chat, hey, it's not too much hassle. Head over to YouTube, hit that like button. It really does help the show.
It really
and
does.
It's free. It's completely free. You can use your one like per day. Isn't that what you said? They have access to like one like a day or something?
No, I mean, in theory, you can like as many videos as you want, but I'm just saying if there's anybody out there that just gives themselves one like a day, consider using it on our show, please.
The weird discipline that you might have to be like, my like is should be cherished and treasured, and it's unique every day.
Exactly.
You only get one.
Exactly. Just because maybe they think I dole out one like a day, it makes it more special.
Not going to give it to Rhett and Link. I'm not going to give it to Smosh. I'm going to give it to Steven Larson.
Smosh even around anymore?
Yeah, dude. I think they're still a big deal. Yeah. I think Rhett and Link like bought them or something. I forget exactly what happened. I know Smosh was in some trouble, and then they
I knew that. I didn't really follow up after hearing that. So
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it is kind of impressive that they have still had. Let me take a look. I'm going to take a look real quick. We also have questions. If you don't want to click on join on the YouTube, you can also you also got emotes if you click join, including an Uncle Howdy one. Patreon.com/Steven Larson. That's where we leave our recap question threads for all the recaps that we do.
Indeed.
Let's see here. Smosh. Let's take a look. Yeah, let's see here. 4 hours ago, Try Not to Laugh Challenge, already at 71,000 views.
Oh, okay.
So they seem to be going pretty strong.
That's good.
Where are they here? Let's see here. My goodness gracious. Yeah, they get a lot of views. Anyways. Let's see here.
We got some questions here. First one here from David Matushek. Says, since Bronson Reed returned, will he keep the TMDK logo that he had on his singlet prior to his appearance last night?
I hope so, because it's a good shout, but I imagine that he just sort of, it was
the gear he had, yeah.
Yeah, that was the gear he had.
That'd be pretty neat if, they don't necessarily have to mention the faction that he was a part of, but just let him keep it.
Oh, yeah, if he wants to. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, if
bring back Shane Thorne and the... What's the other
Mikey Nichols is what his name is.
Is that what he goes by now? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was in NXT, though.
Nick. Was it Nick something?
It was Nick something.
Yeah. It's like Nick Michaels or something like that.
Maybe.
Who knows?
Maybe.
Let's take a look here. Blake Whitehouse, if we hadn't known for 2 years now that would be Rock versus Roman at Mania, how do you think people would react to him if he won the Rumble as a surprise? I think regardless of us knowing or not, people are going to go apeshit because it's The Rock. Nick Miller, Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Floppy.
Yeah, I know it's The Rock. People will react accordingly because it's The Rock.
Yeah.
Nikyle says, which other wrestlers or wrestling factions had more power than authority figures, like how Adam Pearce was powerless to stop the Bloodline? I mean, DX used to not necessarily have more power than authority figures, but they used to kind of drive them crazy enough they'd kind of get their way.
Yeah, they did. Well, the NWO, of course.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, man, they had.
At a certain point, Eric Bischoff, authority figure WCW, joined them.
We are in control. Silver Enigma says, showed your age with those references. Get out of here. My 20, what is she now? 19, 20-year-old stepkid watches Rhett and Link still. She watches Good Mythical Morning still. I think she used to watch Smosh. I don't think she watches Smosh now. Steve Klain says, if you were released and brought back to WWE, what would be the first thing that you tweeted?
Catering.
Just a picture of catering?
Yeah. Be like, look at this spread.
I'd vlog that stuff. I'd be
prime rib,
man.
succulent.
I'd be like, there's like, hey everybody, there's the last piece of prime rib. It's the end with all the seasoning.
With all the seasoning on it.
Let's go get it. And then Bronson Reed's like, heckin' no, mate. It's mine. And I'll be like, piss off, ghost.
And then a feud starts from there.
And then that's how a feud starts.
Then that's a match.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. People, all sorts of people loading up. Yeah, everybody watches Good Mythical Morning. This guy's getting millions of views every day. Let's see here.
Peter Lewins, who would you rather see as a surprise entrant, Rumble entrant 2023? This is an easy answer if these are the two options. RoboCop or Chucky? It's RoboCop.
God damn it. Is he allowed to use his gun? Couldn't use his gun.
I mean, he's super heavy. How can anybody eliminate him?
Yeah, that's a good point. He's like, yeah, but the big men never win the Rumble.
But something tells me, like, yeah, that's different. That's different. All right.
That's different.
That's different.
You can't just say that.
Even at 7'5", 500 pounds, like Big Show was, he wasn't mostly metal.
Well, yeah, that's the thing about RoboCop is that he's like 6'2", but he's like 500 pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dense. So he's like, he's not a big guy. He's not a tall guy who can go tipping over.
Densely packed weight because it's metal.
Yeah.
And all the inner workings of the robo aspect of himself. That'd be a tough elimination.
RoboCop's not fast, though. You'd have to try to beat him with speed somehow.
Yeah, I don't know how.
I don't know how.
Bounce right off him.
Yeah, right. Yeah, doesn't work for me, brother.
Yeah, I don't know how.
Yeah, Maggie says Triple H is mostly metal, and he won the Rumble. It's a different. Yeah, it's different metal, but it's the same thing.
Yeah. No, I think if RoboCop were in the Rumble, he'd be a shoo-in to win it.
Oh, there you go. How about Patty Swan says, trick him into going over the ropes by placing the stairs in the ring. I feel like he's smart. You know, you trick him by having like the Miz dress up as Ed 209.
Yeah, there you go.
Up on the stage.
Yeah.
And then, hey, creep. Or just stage him mugging on the top of the stage. Hey, creep, dead or alive, you're coming with me. But then he goes through the second rope, and they're like, RoboCop's still in this match.
Yeah.
But then he goes up the ramp, and he just disappears.
Never eliminated.
It becomes a meme. It's like the, what's his face?
Like when Curtis Axel was never eliminated.
Yeah, RoboCop's tweeting out, I was never eliminated.
I should be main eventing WrestleMania, creep.
Hey, Rock. That's my spot. Kayfabe says, if you could remake any Christmas movie with professional wrestlers in the main role, who would you cast? Didn't I just joked about this being a Matt Chat question from John Cena yesterday.
Yeah.
Oh, man. He says he'd pick Home Alone with Sami Zayn and Kevin Owen. As Sami Zayn is Kevin and Chad Gable and Otis is the robbers. Any Christmas movie with professional wrestler in the main role. So I do Batter Santa, but instead of Billy Bob, it's Andrade.
That'd be good. That'd be good. Trying to think of a deep cut. Batman Returns.
Okay, yeah. Who's Batman?
Or
who's
Seth Rollins?
Oh, Otis would make a great Penguin.
Yeah, Otis for the Penguin, yeah. Seth Rollins is Bruce Wayne / Batman.
Oh, that's good.
And I guess Becky would be Catwoman.
Oh, perfect. That's great.
Works out.
That's awesome. You know, as part of that Batman Beyond movie, they were going to have Michelle Pfeiffer return.
I know.
What a bummer.
Yeah, why did they cancel that?
Bunch of dummies. Oh, here we go.
I know.
Alex Foster says, here's the WrestleMania main event. Who does Steve root for? Yoshihashi versus Juice Robinson versus Matt Taven.
Let me take a guess. You're going to root for Yoshihashi.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I got no problem with Yoshihashi. Loose explosion. How would you not root for a guy with loose explosion on his ass?
I don't know if he has that anymore.
I don't think he does. I think he got rid of it. What a bummer. Hey, creep.
In Twitch chat here, Jorge D has a question. What would make the two of you go into a blood feud a la Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens? I think it'd require me farting next to Steve while he's making some food.
That was fucked up, man. You know, to this day.
You got a grudge about that still to this day.
Absolutely. It still boils my blood. Everyone, I can put it away, you know, but one day it's going to erupt. Hey, creep, get away from my burger. Fart detected.
I know, he goes to the infrared cam. He sees it coming out.
Have you ever seen? I don't know if this shit's real, but like X-ray like videos of people farting.
It wouldn't be X-ray because X-rays, it's got to be. It can't be like soft tissue.
It's some version of X-ray that purports to be
maybe
real.
It's like heat.
And even and even if it's not real, it's hilarious.
Yeah,
because it's just like gas coming out of a person's butt. It's funny.
It is funny.
Wow, that's hilarious.
Lol.
Lol. I'm laughing. Murphy finds it funny. Anyways, that's going to do it for the show today. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We appreciate it. Be sure to hit that like button, that subscribe button, and YouTube. We'll see you guys later. That's going to do it for us. Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye, creeps.